In June 2025, at a hydrocarbon conference in the capital of Turkmenistan, a state energy company stood at a podium and made an announcement that almost nobody had believed possible. The fire that had burned for 54 years was finally going out. This is the Darvaza gas crater. Coordinates: 40 degrees, 15 minutes north. 58 degrees, 26 minutes east. Locals call it the door to hell. And to understand why it's closing now, we need to understand the part of the story that nobody can actually prove. The Karakum Desert covers 70% of Turkmenistan. It is one of the most empty places on Earth. To reach the crater, you drive 4 hours north from Ashgabat, the capital, on a road that mostly isn't a road. There are no signs. The Turkmen government has never officially recognized the crater on any printed map. The village of Darvaza, which gave the crater its name, was demolished in 2004 on the orders of the country's first president. He thought the village was an eyesore. The 200 people who lived there were relocated. Today, the area is empty for kilometers in every direction, except for the fire. The crater itself is 70 meters across, 30 meters deep. The walls drop vertically. The floor is covered in piles of collapsed rock, what geologists call talus. And out of every fracture in those walls and every gap in those rocks, natural gas is escaping. Hundreds of separate flames burn at the same time. Some are small, the largest reach 15 meters high. The temperature inside the crater reaches 1,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt aluminum, hot enough that the glow is visible from miles away in the desert night. This is not a volcano. There is no magma below it. The crater sits over what geologists call a karst formation, a geology of salt and gypsum that creates underground voids the size of cathedrals. Below Turkmenistan is roughly 9% of all the natural gas on Earth. The crater is the place where a piece of it found its way out. The story that everyone tells starts in 1971. A team of Soviet geologists, the official version goes, were drilling for oil in the Karakum. Turkmenistan was then a Soviet Socialist Republic, a colony in everything but name, valued by Moscow for what was under its sand. The geologists set up a rig at the site. They drilled, and then, according to the standard story, the ground simply gave way. A natural gas cavern had collapsed beneath them. The rig fell into the hole. Toxic methane began escaping into the air. To prevent it from spreading to the nearest settlements, the geologists made what they thought was a temporary decision. They set the gas on fire. They expected it to burn off in a few weeks. It has burned for 54 years. That's the story. It appears in guidebooks, documentaries, Wikipedia articles, and every news report ever written about the crater. There's just one problem with it. There is no proof that any of it happened. When the Canadian explorer George Kourounis prepared his expedition to the crater in 2013, and we'll come back to him in a moment, he searched the Turkmen geological archives. He found nothing. No drilling reports, no incident logs, no records of when the rig was lost, no records of who lit the fire. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 had scattered most of the relevant paperwork to Moscow, where it was either lost, classified, or simply never preserved. So Kourounis did the next best thing. He talked to the geologists who actually lived in the area, and they told him a different story. According to the local Turkmen geologists, the collapse didn't happen in 1971 at all. It happened sometime in the 1960s. Nobody is sure of the year. The crater just appeared in the desert one day, and for almost 2 decades it sat there, an open hole leaking methane into the air. The fire didn't start until the 1980s when nobody is sure who, finally lit it. If they're right, the iconic story of brave Soviet engineers making a calculated decision in 1971 is a myth. The real story is that nobody knows when the crater opened, nobody knows who lit it, and the official version may have been invented later to fill the silence. What is true is that by 1985, the fire was visible from space. By the early 2000s, it was on tourist maps. And by April 2010, the president of Turkmenistan, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, announced that something had to be done about it. He wanted to put it out. He couldn't. Berdimuhamedov's reasons were practical. Turkmenistan was sitting on the world's 4th largest reserves of natural gas. The Darvaza crater was and is burning roughly 1,300 kilograms of methane every single hour. Methane that should have been worth money. Methane that, even when burned, was producing carbon dioxide for no benefit to anyone. In other words, for 50 years, Turkmenistan had been watching a small fortune burn in the middle of its desert. In 2010, the president ordered the crater extinguished. Engineers studied the site. They concluded that putting out the fire would require sealing the cavern below, which, given the karst geology and the constant pressure from below, was effectively impossible. The order was quietly shelved. In 2018, the crater was used as an overnight stop in a national car rally. Tourists started arriving, yurts went up on the rim, the government built a stone walkway to the edge. In 2019, Berdimuhamedov had a different problem. International rumors began circulating that he had died. To prove he was alive, he had himself filmed driving a truck in circles around the crater, doing donut stunts at the edge of a fire that reaches 1,000 degrees Celsius. State television broadcast the footage. The crater had stopped being a problem, it had become a stage, and during all of this, only one human being had ever stood at the bottom of it. His name was George Kourounis. Kourounis is a Canadian explorer who specializes in entering places that should not be entered. In November 2013, with funding from the National Geographic Expeditions Council, he became the first, and so far only human being, to descend into the Darvaza crater. He wore a custom Kevlar harness lined with aluminized fabric to reflect heat. He breathed from a self-contained tank, the same kind firefighters use. He was lowered on Technora ropes, a synthetic fiber rated to over 400 degrees Celsius. His boots touched the floor of the crater at a measured temperature of 400 degrees. He was looking for life. The expedition was part of something called the Extreme Microbiome Project. The hypothesis was that if anything could survive in a methane-fed inferno at 400 degrees, it would tell us something about whether life could exist on other planets. Kourounis collected soil samples from the crater floor in heat-resistant containers. He spent 17 minutes on the floor, then he was pulled out. The samples were sent to laboratories in Canada and the United States. They contained extremophile bacteria, microorganisms that thrived in the heat, isolated from anything else in the surrounding desert. Bacteria that, as far as we know, exist nowhere else on Earth. They had somehow evolved inside a hole that had been on fire for at least 30 years. This was the answer to a question that nobody had thought to ask. Whatever the door to hell was, it was no longer just a hole. It was an ecosystem. On the 5th of June, 2025, at a conference room in Ashgabat, the director of Turkmengaz, Turkmenistan's state energy company, stood at a podium and made an announcement. The door to hell, she said, was closing. The fires had reduced threefold, she explained. Where the crater had once been visible from kilometers away in the desert night, it could now only be seen up close. The flames were dying. This was not, she clarified, because of any single dramatic intervention. The crater had not been sealed. The flames had not been smothered. Nothing inside the crater had changed. What had changed was everything outside of it. Starting around 2022, under President Serdar Berdimuhamedov, the son of the previous president, Turkmengaz had begun drilling a ring of new wells in the area around the crater. They had reopened older wells that had been abandoned for decades, and they had started doing the one thing the Soviet engineers had supposedly failed to do in 1971. They were extracting the gas. The crater, it turned out, was just the surface symptom of an enormous underground reservoir. By draining that reservoir from the sides, the pressure feeding the flames was being reduced. The fire wasn't being put out, it was being starved. There were reasons this finally happened. The first was economic. Methane prices had risen sharply during the European energy crisis that began in 2022. Gas that had been worthless when it leaked into the air was suddenly valuable enough to justify the cost of capturing it. The second was diplomatic. In 2022, Turkmenistan signed onto an international agreement called the Methane Alert and Response System, a United Nations program that uses satellites to monitor methane emissions in real time. The Darvaza crater was, by some estimates, one of the single largest point sources of methane on the planet. It was visible on every satellite pass. Turkmenistan could no longer pretend it wasn't there. But then there is the data. According to Carbon Mapper, the non-profit organization that monitors methane plumes from space, The Darvaza crater emitted an average of 1,300 kilograms of methane per hour from 2022 to 2025. That number was already very high, but the most recent measurement, taken in October 2025, 4 months after Turkmen announced the fires were dying, was 1,960 kilograms per hour, higher than ever. There is a reason for this paradox. When natural gas burns, methane is converted into carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, but methane is roughly 80 times more powerful at trapping heat over the first 20 years it spends in the atmosphere. So a crater that is burning loudly with high flames is actually doing the climate a favor compared to a crater that is leaking the same volume of gas without burning it. By draining the reservoir from the sides, by extracting valuable gas to sell, Turkmen had reduced the pressure feeding the flames. The flames had shrunk, but the gas was still seeping out of the rock. It just wasn't catching fire anymore. The official story was that the door to hell was closing. The satellite data suggested the door had simply become invisible, and that, environmentally, this was worse than before. So the original mystery, when did the crater open, who lit it, why, is not being solved. It is being buried under a second mystery. The Soviet-era archives remain closed. The local geologists who told George Karounis the alternative version are mostly retired or dead. The official 1971 story is the only one that will appear in textbooks, and by the time the last flame is officially declared out, Turkmen estimates within the next decade, there will be no incident to investigate, just a hole in the desert and a closed file. The extremophile bacteria, the ones that evolved inside the fire, will probably die when the heat drops. Their lineage will end with the flames. They are the only witnesses to what actually happened down there. They don't know how to talk. The Darvaza crater is still burning as this video is published. Smaller than it was, still hot enough to kill anyone who falls in. The bacteria are still down there, multiplying in conditions that we still don't fully understand. Turkmenistan has not announced a final closure date. The door to hell may keep burning for another 5 years. It may keep burning for another 15. Eventually, the gas under the desert will run out, the flames will die, the pit will fill with sand, and the place will return to what it was before. Empty Karakum. When that day comes, no one will be able to point to the crater from space. No one will say it looks like a gate to anywhere. It will just be a depression in a desert that swallowed half a century of secrets and never told us which version of the story was true. These were the coordinates.